Welcome to Forum 360, a program with a global outlook and a local view. Hello, my name is Brian Murphy, professional dancer and co-owner of Pilates by Murphy's. I will be your 360 Forum host today. We, our community, have come to enjoy the magnificent design as you go through the hallway, the clouds in the sky, and the sparkle of the stars as you watch a concert or your yearly Nutcracker. The Akron Civic Theater, known as the Jewel on Main Street, has touched all of our lives. Programming ranging from concerts to ballets, there's something for everyone. The Civic Theater has gone through several transitions from its birth in 1929 to being revitalized in 2002. Partnerships, volunteers, community leaders, and many individuals have taken part in its success over the years. Today we are going to dive into some of the history, programming, and why it is essential for this community to have the jewel on Main Street like the Akron Civic Theater. Our guest today has had an instrumental role in the success of the Akron Civic Theater. Her responsibilities range from the programming to making sure you know what is going on at the Civic. Val Renner, Associate Director of Marketing and Media Relations at the Akron Civic Theater. Welcome.
Thank you, Brian. I'm very excited to be here.
So glad you're here, and we have known each other a long time.
Yes,
so.
yes.
So before we get into the history of the Civic and the programming, talk about you and your history and your school.
Yeah, I've always been involved in the arts. I love the arts. Been in front of the camera myself, been behind the camera, and usually behind the scenes of everything that goes on with the Civic. I'm a Zip. I graduated from the University of Akron. I won't tell you what year that was, but you know, I've always loved being involved in this industry, the entertainment industry. So here I am, came back to Ohio, to Akron, and an opportunity arose for me to help sprinkle, as we call it at the Civic, some fairy dust on the building and make it happen.
I love it. So you're in media, and you've been doing media for how long now?
A very long time.
So
thanks for asking.
So if you look at media about when you started and you look at it now,
right?
Tell me some of the. I want to hear some of the challenges, and you know, sometimes we always hear challenges, but what are the fun things about it?
Well, media, you know, I remember when I came out of college, we were still setting picas, and everything was in print, and the challenges that have been coming and going, you know, now are that it's not so much driven by print media anymore. It's digital marketing and it's social media. So you have to kind of keep reinventing yourself like Madonna.
Yes.
And you have to figure out ways to get your word out. You can't touch everybody, but you can sure try to touch everybody. So it's been different. You know, social media is really strong for us at the Civic. You know, we do, of course, we do the Facebook, we do the Instagram, the Twitter. It's just a lot, but you still have to bring in digital media, you know, digital media with TV, radio, everything.
So if they don't know how to get a hold of you, just say right off right now, go to www.akroncivic.com.
Correct.
Just to make sure that, or if they know that
Can
right
always
now.
Stay connected
we always stay connected. So let's go into some of the history.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a it's called Gateway to Nowhere.
Yeah.
There's some taxidermy.
Yes.
Some of the artwork.
Right.
The paint.
Yeah.
There's a whole list of history there. What is
is.
your favorite thing about the Civic when it comes to the history?
Oh gosh, I think when I stand on the stage sometimes and I think about the entertainers that have been there, Desi Arnaz, Harry Houdini, just the list is amazing, and it still continues to grow. And I think that's what's so magical about the Civic. It's that it's been around since 1929. The doors opened on April 29th, 1929, and that was to a silent movie, supposedly. It was a silent movie house, but by the time they got done constructing the theater, they had talking movies. So there were lots of challenges for the theater along the way, even when they opened up, you know, and there's always a challenge when you run a theater house. But, you know, we keep going at it and doing what we need to do.
You do. So, one thing though, I want to know what the tunnel, the Gateway to Nowhere is.
The Gateway to Nowhere. Okay, so there was a man that in 1918, he was a, how would we tell you what he is? He owned a lot of dance halls throughout Akron, Ohio, and his name was Howard Beck. And he decided that he wanted to build a hippodrome in Akron. And it's kind of, it's based on a European design where you have a hotel maybe, and you have a theater house, and you have places, bistros to eat, shopping. And he bought the land all the way from the Rubber Duck Stadium to the Akron Civic Theater with this in mind. And he started selling shares for people to buy. And mind you, this was in 1918, and the shares were $20 a piece. So it was quite expensive.
Yes.
And needless to say, he went bankrupt. But what he did was, at the very front of the building, he started construction of it, and then he had to board it up. So then it became known as the Gateway to Nowhere, because it just stopped.
How interesting.
And yes, and as lore has it, Mr. Lowe, who was, you know, instrumental in making all of the grand theaters throughout the country, walked by this Gateway to Nowhere and went down to the county building and actually bought the land.
Oh my gosh.
From the sheriff. It was a sheriff's sale. So he had this amazing idea that he could build one of his grand theaters in Akron, Ohio.
Now that's amazing. Now you can get more of this information on AkronCivic.com, and there was some history there, and it's really neat to, if you have never gone into that and seen it, it's amazing what we have here in Akron.
It's very magical.
It's very magical. And when you walk into the theater, you see the architect and the paint, the colors, and when you sit inside, the clouds going, no matter what is going on, it's fantastic.
This particular theater was built by John Eberson, who was known as the father of atmospheric theaters, and it was designed to be a marsh castle. So when you walk in, you're to feel like you're walking into a palace, a castle.
Very cool.
It does feel that way.
So when you got this job, how many years have you been at the Civic?
In August, it'll be 8 years for me there.
8 years.
They said if I lasted 5, I'd be a lifer. So I guess I'm going that route.
Now, right?
I guess I'm going that route right now.
Where did they hire you as 8 years ago, and how has that progressed to now?
I was hired as the media director, and now my title has changed, and I'm the associate director of programming now. But I also oversee the media and all the other facets of that. So it's just kept growing. Just been so happy being here to have this be part of our community in Akron, because it's very exciting to have this in our town. We're very fortunate.
Very fortunate. And again, to go into your history, in 1970s, am I right? They almost were going to tear it down, or
right? It was the 60s. It was
60s,
late
sorry,
60s, but yeah, definitely it was mismanagement through the years. It wasn't really doing much of anything. But the JCs came in, and they were actually going to bulldoze the Civic Theater, and just like the song, put up a parking lot. Literally, that's what they were going to do.
Correct?
Yeah, and the JCs came in with a check for $50,000 and saved the theater, and that's when it became the Akron Civic Theater. Before it was the Lowe's Theater. So things started happening, and when I got there, they were only doing 50 events, 50 shows a year, and now we do over 230, if not more, now in the theater.
And there's all kinds of different theater shows. So you could do main stage, and you could do the cabaret style.
Right.
So let's get into the programming now.
Sure.
Because I believe that you're very instrumental in the reason why we have 250 with Howard Parr. Who,
Yes, he's amazing.
He's amazing. I've known him and both of you guys for many years, and the dedication to the Civic, and not just to the Civic, to the city of Akron, to keep it where it is and to make it grow, especially at a time when EJ was going through its moment. So let's talk about particular programming, okay?
Sure.
Because there's all kinds. It's just the fun stuff. We want to know what's going on. So. Some family programming. Would you just talk about some of the family program that you might have?
Yeah, the family programming to me is really very important, because I've always been a firm believer that if you can get the children in the theater when they're young, they will grow old with the theater. They won't be afraid of it, and they can come in and enjoy themselves. And we have a family series that's sponsored by Akron Children's Hospital. And we do all kinds of things. We do plays, we do little musicals. It's just whatever we think can really keep their interest. We've collaborated with the zoo to have a zoo show before. It's just a lot of fun, when you program those, to see what comes through.
I mean, and to add to that, and I see this as family programming. When, for example, Nutcracker, which I did for 20 years. Kids would come and see it during the school shows.
Right.
And those are so important. And the reason I mention that is because I've heard so many times when, I remember when I used to see a school show at this time.
Yeah.
Right? It's so important. And then they get exposed to the theater.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's one of my favorite times to be in the theater, is when we have a children's show. And all the little ones come, and the parents dress them up, and they've got their their beautiful Sunday dresses on, and they're looking around. And if we could all have that look of wonderment at the world, it would be a great place. But that's one of the things that touches my heart so much. I always say we don't cure cancer at the Civic, but we try and make it a great experience. And you can just come through the mahogany doors and forget your worries for a little bit and just be entertained.
And speaking of doing that, adult programming. I mean, I think it's as important to be able to get out of the house. So let's talk about some of the programming you guys have had. Now, what's going on now?
Well, what's made the Civic so diverse is that we do all kinds of programming. We do the national programming, which we'll be having Alison Krauss there, Puddle of Mud, Lewis Black. All of these really big, great national shows are coming through. And we also do local programming. So when you mentioned Nutcracker, that's they come in and that's their show, but it's on our schedule.
So I want to say hello. My name is Brian Murphy, and I'm a professional dancer and co-owner of Applies by Murphy's. I'm talking with Val Renner, and she is the Director of Marketing and Media Relations at the Akron Civic Theater. So we'll continue on with.
Yeah, it's we try and do everything, and there's no reason not to try and come down to the Civic. The goal was to make it the place. It's a community place. It's a community gathering spot where we try and have every type of programming, so no one's left out. And it's a lot of fun, and that's led to us doing a lot of in-house programming, which we didn't do when I came on board, but we've decided that, we do it pretty good. And one of the products of that is the All-City Musical, which you had a hand in. You were the choreographer, which was Jesus Christ Superstar this year. And, Cleveland had an All-City Musical, and we thought, why can't Akron? Because the talent here is amazing. It's just amazing. And from that, when those kids grew out of the All-City Musical, when they graduated from high school, some of them still wanted to perform, but they didn't want to become professional performers. So then we created Millennial Theater Project, and that takes them to the next level of community theater. And this summer we have a lot of great shows. We have Dreamgirls, Sweeney Todd, Little Shop of Horrors. So it's another way to become active, in your theater too.
But let's go back to those two in-house ones and just take a minute. And the most important thing about it is that the young adults, the teenagers, do everything. I mean, they sing, they're dancing it, but they have a part in every part of the program.
Of the All-City Musical.
Of All-City Musical. Is that the same thing in Millennial Theater?
Yes,
Millennium Theater too?
it's directed by millennials. The music is directed by millennials. The acting. So yeah, there's a lot. But what you always have to remember too is, even with the All-City Musical, they have the opportunity to participate in something that is as close to Broadway as you can possibly get. We hire all professionals to be in place, such as yourself. You were the choreographer. Connor O'Brien was our director. Sharon Alberson, our music director. So they're all professionals overseeing these young adults and making them grow and have a fantastic time, hopefully creating a memory for them that will last forever. And of course, we have our IATSE stage, and that's a union stage. So it's not mom and dad coming out and moving a sandbag. You know, it's the real deal. So
they
it's amazing.
Keep on the schedule. They have to understand how it works, and it's a fantastic production. It's Broadway productions.
Right, it is. I mean, if they've never seen it, if the public's never come to see one of these, you'll be blown away.
Blown away. So, so I wanted to. We mentioned a little bit of it, but I want to and talk about more the impact what the Civic has on the community. So, in your eyes, being part of it every day, how much impact do you feel like the Civic is having on the community?
Well, I think it's a big impact. You know, unfortunately, our block has been the last one to get revitalized, but hopefully that will be soon. And drawing people down there on a Thursday night for Peter Frampton or whatever, you know, that's almost 3,000 people. So it brings life into the city all of the time. And, you know, Howard and I, we work really hard to make sure that the Civic is flowing the way it is and listening to people, what they want, what the needs are. And that has developed for us now, taking over the programming for Lock 3. Which we just did. We scheduled, I think, around 85 programs, musical programs down there. And also, we do the national programming for E.J. Thomas Hall now. So,
nice.
Yeah,
you have a couple hands and things.
A lot of things
going on. And which, you know what, actually then it comes down to partnerships.
Right.
How important they are.
They are. You know, I always say when you close your arms, what comes to you, but when you open them, so much more comes. And you know, that was one of the things that we needed to do 8 years ago, 10 years ago, is to establish those type of partnerships and to trust us that we would do, you know, what we said we were going to do. And it's worked out great, you know, but it's hard work. It just doesn't happen, and we take it really seriously. And everybody that works at the Civic has to love the Civic to do it. You know, it's the arts, and you just really have to love it. And I do. I love it.
So, challenges. Just give me a few challenges you have at the Civic.
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges is that the Civic is like an old house that you own, you know. And when the heater goes or the hot water tank goes, it has to be fixed. So it's always a challenge to keep the building the way it is. But you know, we've been fortunate enough with our programming and you know, our sponsorships to keep going and keep doing what we need to do.
Great. So upcoming events. I mean, let's talk about a couple of things that are going to be coming up here. When is this coming out? Maybe in October. Do you have a gala or?
Well, we're known now for our Mask of the Red Death party, and that's in October, and we take the Edgar Allan Poe short story Mask of the Red Death, and we recreate it in our building, and it's down to all of the weird things that Poe put in there, and when you step in the doors, you don't know what's coming at you, but it's an amazing production. Part of my job is to also create special programming, and I created the Akron Craft Beer Festival. We have that in October. I've created last year, the Wine, Cheese, and Chocolate Darling event, which sold out. And
Nice.
I had people calling, going, please, can you give me a ticket? I
Wow.
promised my girlfriend. Well, this is the lesson. You have to get them as soon as they go on sale.
When is the date?
That
Do
is
you know?
always in February.
It's always in February,
Mhm.
okay.
It's Valentine's Day
Got
weekend
it.
usually. So, get on it.
I love it. So I have a what do you call a lightning round.
Oh,
I'm just
boy.
going to ask you.
Okay. Oh, boy.
So I'm going to ask you a
All
couple questions.
Okay.
And you answer in the way
Like
you
I'm
want
on
to answer.
Jeopardy or something. Okay. All right.
What is your favorite food?
Spaghetti. I'm Italian. Can't help myself.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a pet?
Yes, I have a dog
You have
named Tashi.
Tosh.
Yeah.
If you would, okay, you have a dog, you said?
Yes.
If you wanted a pet, you couldn't have it, what would that pet be?
Oh, geez. I don't know. A chinchilla, maybe, because they're so soft. But I would be allergic to it. That's why I have dogs.
A chinchilla?
Yeah.
What's a chinchilla?
They're little. They're just really soft little animals that my nephew had one, and it was so cute. But I couldn't be near it. So
I love that. I've never seen it before. Good.
Google it.
I will. What did you eat last night?
Oh, I had asparagus mushroom carbonara, and I made salmon.
Oh, yum. That's delicious.
I try and eat well.
That's good. No, I mean, you have to admit, around here you can eat very well.
Yeah.
Even
definitely.
down by the Civic.
Yeah.
Some of the restaurants down
Yeah,
there
yeah.
and some of the,
Not
it's-
as well as my cooking.
Of
but,
course
you
not,
know,
but
I'm just saying.
so what is your favorite place to travel?
Oh gosh, I did a show down in the Virgin Islands, and I was a co-host on a show down there, and I love the Virgin Islands. I just think it's gorgeous down there. It's probably where I would go.
Is that where you would go? So you can take a few more minutes on this one, but is this your dream job?
Yes, I mean, I don't even have to take a couple minutes. I'll tell you real fast.
Okay.
It's probably one of the best jobs out there. It's one of the toughest jobs out there, and like I tell my kids, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And it's not easy, and it's a lot of work, but I think that you really have to love what you do. And I love working with the press. I love working with the kids with All Sitting Musical. I love using my imagination, and I thank Howard Parr for that, because he doesn't keep me in the box, because I don't think in the box, and he lets me soar as a creator too. So I love that. I love that about my job.
The Civic Theater needs and should have that. It's very important for the growth of the Civic to have people who, yes, you have the dotted T's and I's, you got to get all of that, but to have that, to be able to be creative, and you're like that, which is why I think that the Civic and the community really, it's special that you're there. They want you there. I mean, it's thank goodness you're there.
I try.
I mean,
Thank you.
we've and it's important. That's an important component. So before let you go here,
Okay.
we need to talk about how they get a hold of the Civic.
Okay.
And also, they're like wondering, how do I give to the Civic? Even as a individual, or if they're out there watching and they're a company, how is it? Maybe give some of the information how they can get a hold of you or that kind of
Right.
stuff.
It's so easy to stay connected with us. You can go to our website, which was akroncivic.com, and you can always see what's happening. We have a box office, and to tell people that you can save money. I know that sometimes Ticketmaster fees are exuberant, but you can actually save all of those fees if you go down to the box office, and it's open Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and you can call it at 253-2488. You can donate when you come to the shows. There's always a donation envelope inside of the program book, which we really appreciate, and hopefully we're growing again, coming soon. There's more to follow, and there's so many. Just go to our website.
Yes.
Seriously, you can get everything you need to know there. And every time you buy a ticket, Brian, there's a $2 restoration fee put in there. So we're growing the fund so that not just you and your children, but your grandchildren hopefully will experience the magic of the Civic.
Great. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I want to thank Val Renner, the Associate Director of Marketing and Media Relations at the Akron Civic Theater. As you have learned, the Akron Civic Theater continues to be a vital part of our community. The success has many to have Jewel on Main. If you haven't taken a tour to see the history or haven't been down to see a show in a while, go to the website, see the variety of shows they offer for you and your family. Thank you for joining me. And Val, thank you also.
Thank you.
My name is Brian Murphy, and I was your 360 Forum host today.
Forum 360 is brought to you by Electrical Impulse Communications, the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, an anonymous donor, the Jewish Community Board of Akron, Medical Mutual of Ohio, Blue Green, and Forum 360 supporters.